All right, let's dive into something that might feel, well, a little too familiar for a lot of us. We're talking about that fierce, almost stubborn need to do everything yourself. We're going to unpack where it comes from and maybe, just maybe, start looking at it in a whole new light.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever been there? You're struggling with something, assembling that piece of furniture, wrestling with some software, whatever, and you just hit a wall. You know deep down that a 5-minute phone call to a friend would solve everything, but you just don't make the call, right? You'd rather battle it out for hours than ask. If that hits home, trust me, you are in good company.
Well, this whole thing actually has a name. It's called hyper-independence. And it's way more than just being a do-it-yourself type. It's this deep, ingrained instinct to avoid asking for help, even when it's actively making your life harder. It's that voice in your head that says you have to handle it all by yourself, no matter what.
Now, what's so fascinating is that this isn't just random. This trait shows up a lot in a very specific group of people, Gen X and those Xennial folks, who are kind of the bridge generation. For them, this isn't just some quirky little personality trait. Nope, it's a pattern, one that was shaped by a very specific shared experience.
At the absolute core of hyperindependence is this one powerful gut-level feeling. Just think about that for a sec. It makes a simple request for help feel like you've failed, like you've lost some kind of invisible game. It's this quiet internal battle where the only way to win is to do it completely alone.
So where on earth did this intense pressure come from? Well, for millions, it was literally forged in the fires of childhood. This whole mindset was created in the quiet, empty houses of the latchkey kid era.
And you can really see how it was built, brick by brick. First, it starts with a world that felt a little unpredictable. You're coming home from school to an empty house. You're the one in charge. Step 2, you had to learn how to rely on yourself. Because, well, who else was there? You figured out snacks, you figured out homework, you figured it all out. And over time, that builds to the final step. That core belief that the only person you could truly count on, day in and day out, was you.
For so long, I think a lot of us have looked at this trait as a problem, right? Like it's some character flaw we're supposed to fix. People tell you, oh, just learn to ask for help. But what if that's completely the wrong way to see it? What if this deep-seated part of you isn't a weakness at all?
And this is the pivot. This is the reframe. Instead of seeing hyperindependence as a personal failing, let's see it for what it actually was, a powerful survival mechanism. It was never something to be ashamed of. It was a protective shield that you built yourself. It was never ever a sign of weakness. It was a profound sign of your own resilience.
And let's be clear, that shield wasn't some clumsy, crude thing. It was actually a highly sophisticated coping strategy that you developed to handle the world around you. It was your brain's brilliant way of protecting you from being led down and making sure you could get by when you couldn't be sure if support was coming.
Psychology even has a name for a strategy that's kind of like this. It's called defensive pessimism. It's this wild idea where you intentionally set low expectations. You basically assume no one's going to be there to help, not to be negative, but to light a fire under yourself to take control and handle it. By expecting to do it all on your own, you actually turn your anxiety into your greatest motivator.
So if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. Your hyper-independence was never a character flaw. It wasn't some conscious choice you made to be difficult or push people away. It was a brilliant and absolutely necessary adaptation to the world you were living in. It's proof of how incredibly capable you were of surviving and even thriving. And that kind of leaves us with one last big question. Because that shield, it was essential. It did its job perfectly. But carrying it around today, in a world where maybe you don't have to face everything alone anymore, it can get pretty heavy. It can get in the way of real connection. So maybe it's time to acknowledge the shield, thank it for keeping you safe, and then ask yourself, what are you still protecting yourself from today?